gotta do the little pathetic in the window.
How much is that kitty in the window? Meow, meow. The one with the sad little face. How much is that kitty in the window? Meow, meow. You can't come out here. You're not allowed. We just went and saw The Lighthouse in IMAX. That was good.
Well, as IMAX as it could be.
IMAX the other way.
Yeah.
Tall IMAX, not wide IMAX. Damn you, Robert Eggers, for not letting us feel like we had an expansive thing to look at. Force us to be in that lighthouse trapped with those two crazy fucks. I like that movie a lot. I had a good time with that movie. And I'm glad we went and saw it too. How much is that kitty in the window?
I'm not going anywhere until Mom comes in.
Mm. And who could blame him for that? Mom either comes in or he stays right where he's at forever. Period. Point blank. How was it in IMAX? It was really cool. Like, yeah, it's not, you know, it's in a weird aspect ratio. So, like, when we watched it on the TV, letterbox, right?
Oh, apparently it was 1.19 to 1.
Yeah. So it's a strange fucking aspect
Almost
ratio.
Square.
Yeah, almost square.
Yeah.
But slightly taller than it is wide.
Yeah.
And it's an aspect ratio I don't think I've ever seen a movie in. And I don't think it would even be possible to show it on a normal screen without vastly diminishing the picture size. Mm-hmm. So being able to see, because like when you see it at home, the top, instead of the sides, when they truncate it for a normal widescreen, if it's shot in IMAX, typically you're losing the border, right? But in this one, you're losing the ceiling and the floor, basically.
It was never, like, it was the very first television aspect ratio was 1 to 2.32.
Yeah.
1.19 to 1 was very briefly between 1926 and 1932.
So it was just it was a deliberate choice to make it look old.
Yeah. To
make it look like something that was from the past.
But also something that was used very briefly. That like not a lot of things were done in.
It's a strange choice.
Yeah.
We watched The Lighthouse. I don't know if it's a nationwide thing, but our theater does this thing where like every month or a couple of weeks, they'll show a movie that has left theaters, but has like a cult following, right? Mississippi. I'm from California, friends. Oh yeah, we'll be seeing Nosferatu for sure. As a non-horror fan, why do you find it so enthralling? It's a tabula rasa. It's a blank slate for you to project your intentions on. And you could say that about other movies, but I really think that horror is liberating as a genre because fear is so ubiquitous, right? It's such an easy human emotion to identify with that it almost kind of forces you into that empathetic position. It's another movie too that probably, I would imagine, drives some people nuts because the through line is very fuzzy. It's not a movie that has a typical narrative structure. It is an experiential film, right? Meant to mask some of the things that movies use little tricks to illustrate, right? So you're not supposed to know how many days has passed at the lighthouse, or how many weeks, or months, or years, right? It's almost like a, what do they call that? What do Catholics call that? Between heaven and hell? Limbo, right? I love how the lighthouse references mythology. The ending is a big callback to Prometheus. Yeah, for sure. Purgatory, limbo, whatever, right? And that's what the movie feels like to me. In fact, the lighthouse keeper, what is his name? Jonathan Wick, even says it towards the end of the film. He's like, how many days have we been on this island? Has it been 2 days? Has it been 5 months? Has it been 3 years? You know what I mean? So it's very deliberately atemporal, is what I would say, right? There's also, I think, a clear homosexual through line as well in the film. I feel like the lighthouse keeper is a predatory homosexual, and that he takes advantage of the young men that are assigned to his duties, gets them liquored up, gets them lonely, and then fucks them. That's never explicitly said in the film, but that is what I feel is going on his end of it, right? That's his gambit. I think that, like, once again, I don't necessarily think that our main guy, the young guy at the lighthouse, is gay, but I think that the lighthouse keeper is, right? He tempts him with alcohol, and then once he tips him over the edge of the alcohol, it's more intimacy, right? There's also a lot of like love bombing in the movie. You guys understand what that is? So like it's a kind of abusive relationship dynamic where there is no neutral. You are either on the wrong side of your loved one or way on their right side, right? Yeah, I mean, he puts him on a leash, makes him bark like a dog. I really genuinely feel like there's a huge sexual subtext there. Huge, right? And it has to be a homosexual subtext as well. You could just take the film literally, too. You could take the lighthouse keeper at his word. He's this agent of mythology, right? You don't kill a seabird because they are inhabited by the souls of sailors who went to their maker. And of course, Pattinson kills a seabird, right? If this movie's hallucinatory aspects are true, then the old man at the lighthouse might just be an aspect of King Triton himself, right? To torture this young man, right? For his pleasure, to return him to the sea, to punish him for his transgression of killing the seabird and denying the hospitality, right? It's a funny scene. Well, it's kind of funny, where he says, I hate your fucking cooking. And he's like, you like my lobster, though, don't you? I've seen it. I've seen the way you eat my lobster. You like my lobster. You know what I mean? And then he stands up when his hospitality is rejected, right? And he curses him in the most explicit way possible, right? And so you could watch the movie from that perspective and say that here was a guy running from his past who had an encounter with the supernatural. He had an encounter with King Triton and his coterie of sea-dwelling demons, right? And that would be, if you take the movie absolutely at its word, you have to believe the unreliable narration of our main lighthouse old man character, Tom Wick. The fact that he did it in one take without blinking is nuts. I mean, it's fucking crazy. The delivery of that is so crazy and unexpected, and then it just deflates at the end too. And he's like, all right, I like your cooking. But the damage has been done. How mercurial and jealous would Triton really be? How prickly would he be? Were he to decide to take on a human aspect, right? Yeah, Robert Eggers is really out there, man. Really out there as one of the great artists working today. I got high and drank a gallon of tropical punch and ate 2 large pizzas. I wonder how I don't go into a diabetic coma. Bro, that shit, honestly, that made me sick to my stomach. Bro, the amount of food that I can eat before I start feeling sick has diminished by like double or triple. Like, I'm not even kidding. The thought of sitting down and eating 2 large pizzas is fucking insane. I have seen Inside with Willem Dafoe, yeah. I think I recommended MJ check that movie out. Well, I think she'd like it. All right, bud. I'll hit the monkey button for you. I'm not really paying attention, so you guys are... There we go. Monkey button on. Am I banned? Banned by Midnight Ghoul. I fucking love it, bro. I love my mods, bro. Oh, when the mice are away, the cats will play, bro. Right? Wait. Did I get that backwards? The ghoul knows. The ghoul knows. Oh, shit. I just finished watching All Quiet on the Western Front again. Yeah, that's a great movie. I was trying to like compile a list of movies that Amelia hasn't seen that we need to watch. She's watched with me a lot of old classics, a lot of my favorite films we've sat down and watched. But there's still quite a few that she hasn't seen. Oh. Woo. I don't know how it happened, but I got stoned. I had a day at work that bummed me out. How did you cheer yourself up after bad work days? I mean, you just gotta fucking take care of yourself, man. When you're feeling overwhelmed, slow down, that sort of thing. I know it's very trite, but do something that's comforting to you, right? And chill. Carve out a little time for yourself. It's really not a lot more than you can do other than that, right? Crashed my RC airplane that I spent the last 4.5 years building. I just finished fixing and rebuilding it, and I'm feeling really accomplished. Cool. Crashed on the first flight. Oof. Well, now you know, and the second flight will be better. What did I work in again? I did tech support for my last job. I was an on-site tech support guy for the school district, and then prior to that, I was a Starbucks guy. Those are my two big jobs, you know. 8 years apiece. Apparently, I've got the 8-year itch for jobs, you know. Job's been treating you like garbage. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry. Yep, the white guild picture was picture day. The staff pictures for the DO. 8 years, yeah. 8 years at the Bucks, 8 years at the school district, 4 years working general jobs, half my life in the workforce, man. And it just flies, too. That's the craziest thing about getting old, is that, like, time dilates through the past. It just feels like sometimes that I could just touch that time in my life still. But it's so long ago. You know, it's so long ago. Insanely long ago. Oh. And you as a manager get stuck doing most of the work each day? Fuck no. Fuck no, bro. You think I did 8 years of carrying most of the weight? No. I put people to fucking work, and if they didn't work, I sent them home. That's what a manager does. if I would have tried to carry slack for everybody, I would have never gotten my managerial job done, and I would have been fired. Do you feel a privilege to be doing a job you're genuinely engaged in? I fear that I'll never find that for myself. It's not about finding it, it's about creating it. If you're looking for it already existing, chances are it's not there. I'm not trying to be too dismal about it, but you have to make it. You have to make it happen. Well, the reason time flies as you get older is that there's nothing new. When you were younger, everything was new. You think? Because I don't feel that way. I feel like there's new things every day. I don't know. It's just time dilates. It's like it just rushes at you. Like an insane tidal wave of time. I love it. Yeah, no leaf blowers yet. Easily. Easily the best job I ever had is the job I'm working right now. I couldn't even make a cogent argument for another job. But of course, this job wouldn't have worked had I not worked those other jobs. If you really think about it, working those jobs for as long as I did and working as hard as I did and as faithfully as I did, it's like a pressure cooker for me. I wasn't born screaming and ranting, right? I had to learn. And that part of my life, as long and arduous as it was about me honing myself. And my ability, right, to captain myself. Oh, yeah. That's one of the more common questions I get, honestly, is like, because people, you tell them, oh, I'm a YouTuber. And like down the road, 2 or 3 questions, it's always like, well, what are you going to do if that dries up? What are you going to do if that doesn't work out? Like I've forgotten how to get a job or work, Like I don't fear work. I've done it most of my adult life, all of my adult life. There's nothing to fear from getting a job, so. Are you working one of those other jobs during your early DP guest appearances? Yeah, I was working at the school district then. Doing tech support. I remember the big show I was on, the We Were There Brett thing. I got this call at like 4 p.m. from Ben, and I was at work. He was like, dude, can you come on right now? And I was like, I'm at work, bro. Sorry. I'll come on as soon as I get home. He's like, all right. And they ended up pushing it back. That was, they had to work around my shit because I had a full-time job. I couldn't like be there when they started most of the time. My favorite job you had was Brett Keane, historian, really. That wasn't a job, that was just a passion project, friend. That was just a good old passion project. Oh, yeah. Yep. had to work around my shit until, let's say, like late 2015. And that's when I got divorced, moved to Texas, and gave them the fucking, hey, you guys seem to like me on the show. I happen to be looking for work. What do? I shot my shot. Yes, taxes suck as a business owner. You have to pay. I mean, I guess there are probably some business owners that do their own shit. I pay somebody to do my taxes. And it sucks even then. First time you guys mentioned Brett on DFF, I had no idea who he was and went down the rabbit hole. Oh. I just found it crazy how well you vibe with the original DP cast even before you joined officially. That's just, like, I'm not trying to toot my horn or whatever, but I'm kind of a social chameleon. I blend with pretty much any group. Like, I find it's very rare for me to have a group of people that I can't worm my way into one way or the other. I'm like a fungus, man. You gotta have your team hermetically sealed, okay? If you don't want me on it. You guys hear that rumble? Somebody got that scat pack. It's learned storytelling. 100% learned. I was entranced by stories when I was young, always. And I got to grow up in this cauldron of crazy, extroverted adults. I guess that's why you bought the scat pack, huh? May as well take it out and tool around in it. But yeah, no. I grew up in just like a giant fondue pot of insanely extroverted storytelling adults, and I was entranced by the process. I was like sucked in by the way that they could have people just living in their world for a few moments, right? Nothing else exists except that story. And I wanted to do that in the worst way, and I spent my whole life doing it as a result of that. And I'm still to this day fascinated by it. I love doing it. What's your personal favorite story you heard growing up? I mean, I just got done telling you I grew up in a giant fucking beef stew of great stories. It is so hard to pick that, bro. But that's another thing about me is like favorites. I have a couple, I guess, but not as many as other people. Yeah, I don't collect favorites. I like variety. I like the spectrum. Under our glorious black sun, we welcome to these special festivities our beloved Baron, Paul Harkonnen. Ghetto birds out. Run, run, run from the ghetto bird. I will say I've grown a reputation of being a storyteller, and I have you to thank for that. Well, that's cool. You pass things along in life sometimes, you know, without even really intending to do it. Ideas are like that. Lifestyles are like that. Senses of personal style are like that. you influence those around you. This individualist streak that America really puts forward, I love it, but I think it's damaged us. I think it has pushed us in so far into the prison of individualism that we cannot see how much alike we all are. How truly the same we all are, right? Well, it's a dying type of art, like verbal, face-to-face, person-to-person storytelling is a dying art. It really is. If you think about it, think of how truncated things are online, right? All communication is snipped down to its most efficient. It is not a place where people just kind of hang out and live in the moment. It's a place where, as you're talking to somebody, they're looking at 3 other web pages and listening to a podcast. You know what I mean? There's no undivided attention. There's no sharing the space of willing suspension of disbelief. Putting like bringing yourself there in your mind, right? In your mind's eye. Paul, do you think the government want these big corps to break the law so that they can find? Yes. It's a price of doing business. Your fines for breaking the law and acting against regulations are just a business write-off in America. There are some big Fortune 500 companies in this country who are fined to the tune of millions of dollars a year, and it's cheaper to just pay the fine than it is to fix the problem. So yeah, it's a money racket, right? Do you like the Fluffy comic? I don't know who that is, so I guess not. I mean, it's a dying art face to face. It's theatrical in a way that is dead. People don't do that sort of thing as much as they used to. And so the venue for getting together and just sitting in a timeless way and listening and enjoying something together is greatly diminished. I'm along for the ride, baby. Hope is a curse. Hope is desire. And desire is meant to be unrequited. I'm on the ride, but not just in this country. I try and think of myself as on the planet. Hope with action isn't hope. Right? Action is action. It goes, baby. It goes. Oh, we need another pack, unfortunately. I'm sorry. We just done finished up our pack. So, what you guys are kind of pushing me to talk towards here is something that I've struggled with my whole life, right? The idea that we're doomed. We're doomed. We're doomed. And you guys have heard me, many times, long and arduous pessimistic rant. And all of that was needed. That was like a pressure cooker for me to push me towards what I consider to be a more correct way of experiencing life. I think that hope breeds pessimism, right? It's all desire. And separating yourself from this idea that you're the hero, that you're the linchpin, that you are the last cog needed in the machine to save us all from ourselves is a nightmare scenario to live with and is completely ahistorical and completely and utterly devastating to people who put that weight on their shoulders. Atlas carrying the whole world on his shoulders, right? How much can you, and I'm not trying to diminish your power, but how much can you, as a single person, expect to change this planet's trajectory, right? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying, what are the probabilities, right? Doesn't mean you don't try. That doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't take action. It doesn't mean you don't feel passion. What it means is you understand your station. You are one of trillions of empty faces that have existed on this planet. So many of them with hopes and dreams just like yours. And they have returned to that which they came from. And so will you, right? And the world as it exists will go on. This is a very human thing to come to grips with, but it has helped me tremendously. When I feel that weight on my shoulders, when I feel like the whole world is going to shit, I remember the center of the circle, and I remember my place in this world.
Do you agree that everyone is ultimately doing their best?
No.
No.
What do you mean? Like in what way?
You feel like people are at what they do is at their capacity based on the determinism of their circumstances?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little more because I think there's a lever on that, right? The determinism is going to supply the reasoning, but they apply the range of motion, right? And so I do think you have a limited space within your deterministic kind of past to create different effects in your life, right? But it is utterly and completely fenced in by your deterministic perspective. So to say that everybody is doing their best deterministically, it doesn't sit right with me because, well, maybe it should. Maybe it should sit right with me. Maybe that's a little bit of my optimism peeking out, or my desire to believe the best in people, right? I like to look at people as little balls of potential, and it feels like saying everyone's doing their best diminishes that. And maybe that's closer to the truth, you know? It's a deep question you asked. What do you think?
I don't know. I think people don't consciously decide to suck.
Yeah, it's a very blunt way of putting it, but I agree. Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I don't think anybody wants to suck. Even if I think there's a lot of people that go out and seek that kind of negative reinforcement, But I think that everybody wants to find a place, right?
Well, everyone wants to feel not useless. That's why it's such a hallmark of depression, that feeling of uselessness and guilt and yada yada yada.
Right.
That's why it's so painful.
Mm.
If people didn't want to not be useless, to not...
Then there wouldn't be an epidemic of these kinds of disorders, right?
Yeah.
At what age do you start thinking about these kinds of concepts? Movies unlock, and I'm not saying that I was talking about this concept specifically, but movies unlocked my imagination when it came to being able to talk about esoteric things pretty young. Like, it was not uncommon for me and my teenage friends to sit around on the porch and talk about the nature of reality, determinism, consciousness was a huge topic that we would delve into and blow each other's minds by running up against these logical walls, right? It was just part of what I did for fun. It wasn't like we were a bunch of like research students sitting around all day talking about esoteric philosophy. It just happened on a regular, right? You get to smoking, you get to drinking, you get to talking, you know.
You too cold.
I don't care about being useless. I hope that's true. You weren't put here for a use. You weren't put here at all. So,
I guess what I'm boiling down to is, like, if everyone is doing the best they can do within their circumstances and psychology and all that, does that help bring the weight off of people, you think? Or do you think people need a drive to do better? Even if it's not necessarily possible.
yeah. I don't know. I do not know. I can't answer that question, honestly. I feel like it might even be subjective, right? It might be like some people need that little coal burning inside, even if it's just gonna wink out. And maybe some people need to stop looking so hard at the coal and accept. But that seems like, I really feel like that's kind of like a sidestep of an answer. I think I don't know. It's a deep question. It really is. I love I don't know. It's an impermanent way to be honest, right? Because I don't know can turn into or it can turn into I know, right? With time and effort. It's one of the things that I think people that do my job have a hard time saying. I don't know. We were talking about oracles the other night in a TJ episode about, what was this last one about?
I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you. It's not out.
Yeah, it's, oh, fuck, man, I feel bad. We just do so many shows. I did mine on Internet Vigilantes. He did his on, was it Death?
That was one that came out recently, but it wasn't one that you recorded on the same day as the Internet Vigilante.
Yeah. I cannot remember what it was. You guys will find out. Oh, it was Pain? Or did we already do Pain?
That was before the death.
What it was the one that he just fucking did? Because it was another one of those. But we were talking about oracles, like the Oracle of Delphi, right? And I didn't want to get off on a big tangent, but I started to think about online content creators and the way that people come to them for answers to hard questions. They come to them for arguments. They come to them for insight. Is there a whole lot of difference?
Well, yeah,
I'm not trying to say I'm an oracle. I'm saying in the way,
yeah.
Obviously people need that feeling.
Yeah.
Otherwise the Oracle of Delphi would have sat alone, right? And the Oracle of Delphi is not the only example of that either, right?
Yeah.
All throughout human history, we see these people go to other people for answers, right?
It's definitely like a lot of people put the people they watch on this pedestal, which they probably shouldn't.
Right.
Like going off on
It was about dreams.
Oh, dreams. Okay.
It just came back. It was about dreaming and dreams. Of course, talking about the oracles, dream interpretation was a part of what they did. I think that in this critique, it's like the oracle, right? She was kept in a temple. She lived her whole life there. People came to her with questions about the real world. But in the same way that an internet commentator spends most of their time living in this quasi-reality, so did they, right? I think there's a lot of people looking for real world answers from people who have never had real world experience.
Or they've become sheltered from the
Right.
real world.
Or they've unlearned the real world and have created this new world, right, around themselves. It feels very oracle to me, right? It feels like the same kind of human story playing out again. You go to this woman who's never walked through a city market to ask her about how to deal with a moneylender, right? Why would she have any fucking clue? Sam Harris says consciousness is like a dream because everything exists in the mind. Well, absolutely. Like our experience is entirely interpretive, right? Entirely based on signals heading to and from our brain, right? I enjoy TJ's new scripted content. It's always why I want to see you make some scripted content, any topic. Yeah. Well, it'll probably be movie review stuff, I would imagine, for me. I don't really have a drive in me to do like codification of my personal thoughts in like MLA format. You know what I mean? I don't feel like writing a script. I prefer conversational discussion on those types of things. But I enjoy TJ's tact, right? I enjoy the kind of like angle he takes on it. It's an angle I wouldn't take.
Man, I gave you a pickle, didn't I?
You often do. You pickled me. You pickled me in the brine.
Not as big as the water pickle, though. That was a pretty big pickle.
That was indeed a good pickle. To pickle or not pickle? It is so strange to me that we've gained so much knowledge on the outside world, how it works, the laws by which reality has to function, right? But we know so little about our own consciousness. It's like even people that study it, when you listen to them, you can hear the humana. You know what I mean? it's so odd to me that we have so much esoteric knowledge about the world around us, but so little about ourselves.
It's hard to like get into someone's mind. It's all filtered through what they say is in their
It's
mind.
impossible, right? You take everybody at their word when they tell you their experience. They could be lying. They could be misinterpreting, right? Misremembering. Yeah. There's a reason why eyewitness testimony is not considered to be incredibly strong in criminal cases, right? Because you get multiple eyewitnesses, you get 3 different fucking stories, right, of the same event. None of them match up.
It's also considered direct evidence too, which people don't realize. Eyewitness testimony is a direct form of evidence, where we think of like DNA is more solid, it's technically indirect evidence.
Right.
It's not illustrating what happened, just saying.
It's showing the aftermath of what happened. It's proving the aftermath. Yeah. Familia were to make a YouTube channel, what kind of name would it be? I don't know. What would you call yourself?
I don't know if I necessarily want a YouTube channel.
Well, they're saying if you did.
If I did.
If you decided, hey, I'm gonna fucking make a YouTube channel, like, what would the name be? You're on the spot now. You know what? Yeah. This is your get back for blowing my mind philosophically.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You've just never seemed like all that interested.
Yeah.
I've just never heard you talk about a desire to do it. Yeah. It would be, I think it would be interesting and fun if you decided you wanted to do it, but I don't think a lot of people are drawn to doing it.
Would you agree that you have to have some like narcissistic traits to be a content creator?
Yeah, of course. But once again, like thinking in spectrums like I do, I think everybody's got a little fucking narcissist in them. Yeah. It's just some people have it stoked higher than others, right? I think everybody's got a little pick-me living inside. Amelial. They're saying amelial.
I don't know.
You do have
You said I don't know, so I can say I don't know.
True. Hoist by my own petard. The greatest answer in human history, the only one you could never argue with. I don't know. Fantastic.
Can I get you anything?
A water would be great. Don't even need to put ice in it. It's too cold for ice. Remind you of one of your uncles. I get that a lot. I remind people of other people quite a bit. I get it a lot. I get it way too often for it to be coincidence. Amelia Geist. Da-da-da-da. Lethally stoned, bro. You don't even fucking know, bro. And we about to pop in another moon rock, too. We about to rock another moon rock. It's finna happen, though. I'm finna do it. Weed has gone insane. It really has. Oh, that's my. Thank you, baby.
Don't want to forget. I'm too chilly out here.
Well, get your buns in there and toast them. Who's the most narcissistic in DFF? I don't know, man. I might be too narcissistic myself to make that call. I'm going to leave that up to you, the viewer. Who do you think? It's definitely TJ, you say? I love TJ. You know what? I'm gonna say some shit that's wild. TJ is more maturely self-aware than Scotty or I. TJ has the ability to shift into a mode that is very, very logical and sound. TJ has that high school girl ego. Was that the greatest election in history or what? Dude, that's the cutest comment. I'm not even gonna... Don't ban him. Don't ban him. That's the cutest comment. That's the cutest little comment of all time. God damn it. Man, was that the best election ever or what? It's like, man, it really is. It really is football. Why would I ban you? Well, you don't have a profile pic. And you jumped in with an off-topic electoral thing. I mean, typically that'll get you fucking shit banned around here. But your comment was so cute, I had to let it go. I had to let you get away with it. But only once. I mean, if your brain is completely fucking Swiss cheese, just let me know and I'll just have her ban you again. It was just too cute. There was too much genuine glee, you know? Man, that was the bestest Christmas ever. It had that energy, you know what I mean? So is this like a power thing after you lost then, huh? Lost? Who do you think I supported? Why don't you tell me my politics since you seem to know them? Who are you talking to? You've got the inquisitive eye of Sauron upon you now. I'm thinking Swiss cheese too, but we're going to give him one more shot. What are my politics, homeboy? No, this guy knows my politics better than I do. Because apparently in this election, I lost. And how could this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach. Where'd you go, homeboy? Put me in timeout before for petty benign comment. I put you in timeout. Oh my God, man. You're just a mad little guy, huh? Watch this. Permanent timeout. I gave you so many chances to be a normal person that grew up, had a mama, wasn't made in a laboratory somewhere, but you're just too goddamn retarded. See? I'm too soft-hearted. I should have just let the Midnight Ghoul fucking ban that motherfucker. Too soft-hearted. I don't think Alex was 18 plus. I think that's a strong possibility, although it is quite hard to tell these days. We got a lot of 20 and 30 somethings running around talking like they're 10, so you never do know, right? What recently in your lives made you smile from happiness? Earlier today, just listening to the birds. I smile every day. I go to bed most days with my face sore. It's something that I hardly ever did it was almost a forced thing for me 20 years ago to like, and now like I feel like I smile a lot. I'm just surrounded by things that make me smile. My wife, you know, our little family, our little fur babies, my yard and the little wildlife that lives out here, you know, my family and my friends and my job. All of these things just make me grin from ear to ear, man. It's a good thing. It's a good feeling. The wise king, yeah, man. The jolly king. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I serve a dark and a vengeful God. I shave the faces of gentlemen who never thereafter are heard of again. I trod a path that few have trod. Did Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street, do. Swing your razor high, Sweeney, hold it to the sky. Freely flows the blood of those who moralize. Get new glasses? No, I have 2 pairs. These are my all-day glasses, and then I have computer glasses that I wear a lot of out here. Yeah. Money was no object. Get some Cartiers with some pointers. Money's no object. Cartier with a pointer here and a pointer there. Get fresh. You know what I mean? Let them know when you walk in. Let them see. Right? Do you understand why so many of my fellow Zoomers are falling for right-wing grifters? I have an idea, but it's a very unpopular idea, and I don't know that I want to voice it. Let me pull a destiny. Let me give you a 10% conviction take. Okay, there you go. I'm going to pull a destiny on you. Do you want to know why young men specifically are racing towards the right wing? Because the left wing hates them. Well, at least the online left wing, right? Which is becoming more and more fucking prominent. It has been endless kill all men jokes. It's been endless, shitting on men for about 20 fucking years. And the boys that you're talking about from this generation are running to the place that welcomes them. And that's that. It's 100, that like, that's how I feel. Now, if that's not true, so be it. Like I said, 10% conviction take, okay? Pulling a destiny on you, and I'm giving you my 10%er. I feel like the broader online left, which has broadly influenced at least the public tact of the parties, right, has been incredibly, incredibly antagonistic towards young men. Like I said, for about 20 years now. And I think that young men are going to the place that makes them feel welcome, ideologically, personally, right? That's my guess. As a woman, I understand where a fair bit of the jokes are coming from, but there's always over-the-top people. Well, it's not even really that. It's just kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be all MGTOW on you, but I do feel like it's open season on just saying some wild fucking shit about men. You know what I mean? And I understand, you know, there are men out there that need to hear that type of shit. I get it. But you just start to feel a little bit hard done by when there's such a huge bullhorn on your side of the political aisle just pissing on men. Yeah, the white men need to shut the fuck up thing, the, oh, you have privilege because you're cis white male, like that type of shit, right? When the truth of the matter is that men are suffering a fucking epidemic of depression and suicide, the likes of which we haven't seen, right? It's like men are clearly in tons and tons of pain, and maybe it's time we don't shit down everybody's fucking neck, right? I don't know. Like I said, I think there's a pretty high likelihood that it's more complicated than that. But I do think this idea that the right is welcoming and that the left is gatekeeping is tough, right? It's a tough sell to a teenage boy. You try and tell people this, they completely reject the concept entirely. That's why I was reluctant to give the take. Emotions are really fucking high right now, and people don't want to hear that the left has been doing the wrong thing for 20 years or more, right? They don't want to hear it. They're not at the point yet where they're ready for self-reflection and critique. But ask yourself, if you were a young boy, which side would you run to? Who's talking to you? Who pretends they care about you? You know what I mean? Shouldn't we ask ourselves that question? Yeah. They say men need to be more emotionally accessible and then call you a pussy when you cry, right? I'm not saying this is like an unlivable kind of situation, but it's just like, you know, when that sort of thing is reinforced politically, it doesn't make it all that attractive of a place to be for a young man, I can imagine. reasonable, they'd go to the right. They're made to feel like they belong and have some sort of power. Yep. I got people who are talking directly to them, and like I said, at the very least, pretending to care about the problems that they face. Willing to talk to them like they talk to each other, right? You don't see that on the left. You see it on the right. So, I guess another way to put this is, why are so many young men racing to the right? Well, who's got the better ad campaign? Maybe it just boils down to that. Who's got the better ad campaign, right? Sometimes feels like you're in a lose-lose situation. You can always try things and still be called a loser. We just need to allow everyone some grace, with hopes of change and better understanding. I mean, sure. Young men yearn for masculine role models. Sure, yeah. And when masculinity is toxic on one side of the political aisle, you're not going to get a lot of those types of role models, At the same time, vitriol for men is commonplace for women. That's why they tend to go to the left. Same idea, different sex. Sure, yeah. Absolutely. I won't, I find no fault in that. It's like blaming a starving rat for why it's moving to the cage with some cheese in it. I know. What are you doing, dude? I'm fucking starving. I'm gonna go eat that cheese. It's a trap, though, bro. Shut up, libcuck. You're no Sigma. I'm getting that cheese. Always wanted to be a content creator, but I'm too fearful of the stinky, shitty environment of it all. I don't blame you. It is stinky and shitty. It is. Man, there's just a lot of garbage and a lot of bullshit and a lot of really fucked up people. So in the phrase toxic masculinity, the word toxic is a modifier. Reading it as masculinity is toxic is a failure to comprehend language. Okay. You don't think that that would be a failure in messaging? Like, let's put it in another context, right? Coke, good? Let's say that's their new brand thing, right? With a question mark, right? Now, some people are going to look at that and think it means like, you good? Some people are going to look at that and like, is this soda good? Right? Isn't it a marketing failure? I mean, I presume that the people that made that and popularized that term have some sort of culpability, right, for how it is perceived. After all, they were the ones that introduced the term, right? What would be your alternative? Why does there need to be an alternative? Don't we have enough alternatives already? Dickhead, asshole, douchebag, motherfucker, idiot. Don't you love how those can be applied no matter who the asshole is and what kind of fucking shit they've got dangling? Udins created it? What the fuck is a Udin? I hope that didn't mean you Dems. I'm not a Democrat, motherfucker. You presume. But yeah, put it on the motherfuckers that created it for the widely abused, misinterpreted, and misquoted nature of it. He meant Jews. Get him out. Yeah, get him out. Bruh, don't get me out. Don't get me out. You see what a prickly topic this is, right? People don't fucking like this shit. I happen to think there's too many labels in the world. I happen to think we don't need the term toxic masculinity. I think an asshole is an asshole, and that's that. I think looking at a dude doing a shitty thing and going, that's masculinity. Look at that toxic masculinity. I think that's the problem, right? You're taking what is antisocial behavior and implying that it is their masculinity that created it, when it's just the asshole antisocial fuck that did it that created it. Right? Son of a bitch. Okay. Back from the dead. What should society do with a person who refuses to work? I believe that society should provide a baseline for everybody, because within that group of people who refuse to work are going to be people who can't, and you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? To me, it is a better deal to ensure a baseline for everybody so that nobody ends up living in a tent on the fucking side of a freeway somewhere, right? Than it is to punitively punish people who cross their arms and just refuse to work, right? I think there's more positive to be done for people who need a leg up than there is punishment for the lazy, right? I think there's more value in the former rather than the latter. No. Do you think it's reasonable for women to hold a certain amount of anger in the way that women have been subjugated throughout history? Not really. Anger is an almost entirely worthless emotion, right? And you taking it upon yourself in this modern age to be frontally offended by things that happened hundreds of years ago does nothing but drag you down into an argumentative mire. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be aware of historical injustice against women, but to carry anger about it, get the fuck away from me then, you know? Paul, since you're you keep retracting your messages, blind programmer. Arguably, labels originate from ancient wars. Friend, foe are the oldest labels in the world. With that in mind, certain people love labels because conflict can be profitable. I agree. Yeah. I think we live in a hyper-labeled society, right? Look at how people introduce themselves, in an online space. They want you to know a little paragraph about them. It's 15 different diagnoses and your sexual preference. It's like, what? Since you're a labor advocate for the interest of the working class, you should support far-right policies on the border since migrants... Nope. I'm a pan-laborist. Workers of the what unite? I think you can fill in the blank. Workers of the... It's a W word. Yeah, I'm a pan-laborist. Labor is labor is labor, and people that need, right? People that need access to the labor market, I don't care if they were born in Belize. They're a person, they're a human being, they need to eat, and they have a right, I believe, to that. They're willing to work, they have a right to eat. I don't care where they were born. And if you disagree with any part of their identity, they take that as an attack on their character as a whole. The reality, for most of us working class citizens, is we hate complicated BS. Well, we don't have time for it, right? Yes. I think that it's not long before UBI is absolutely necessary to preserve the social order. It's just a matter of what form will it take and how substandard will it be, right? But it's almost guaranteed. I think the people use past struggles to enhance their frustrations at current day struggles. Yeah. And I think that that's a pointless thing to do. It would be better for you to learn the history of those things, to learn how our times differ from those times, and then to learn where there are areas where women still need to be lifted up, right? I think that's a way better expenditure of your time than running around crying about women that were raped fucking 300 years ago. You know what I mean? We get it. UBI will be crucial when the AI automation kicks into overdrive. Yeah. Yes. I think that AI and automation will slowly but surely replace the need for a lot of the bottom end of jobs, hence UBI, right? Those bottom end of jobs are where people that don't go to school go. They're where people who are on hard times go. They're where people who are desperate for money go. If those disappear, there's either going to be about fucking 50, 60, 70 million new homeless on the streets of America, or there's going to be a UBI. I'm saying a UBI. Paul, but open borders and these new immigrants are damaging the leverage a working class person has. No, they are not, because a working class person is not a citizen of the United States. A working class person is part of the working class here on the globe. And a rising tide raises all ships, okay? I don't like it. I don't like this anti-immigrant sentiment, dude. It's fundamentally un-American. Fundamentally un-American. We are a nation of immigrants. And so this fucking exclusionary thing, that brown person over there on that side of that fucking imaginary line on the map doesn't deserve a right to a remunerative job, doesn't deserve the right to express their labor and feed their fucking family. I just don't buy it. I won't ever buy it. It's a bullshit fucking argument. It has nothing to do with my politics or policy, and I don't entertain it. Every wave of immigration to this country has done nothing but enrich it. That's just history. So, yes. Yes, everyone's an immigrant. Because Musk has no principles. Musk goes where the power goes. Do you think they will genuinely do a mass deportation? No. Well, I mean, yes, they will continue mass deportation. You realize all throughout the Biden administration, there's been mass deportation going on, right? Yes, they're going to do it. They're going to continue it. We should make an effort to document them. Otherwise, they get taken advantage of. I agree. I absolutely agree. Thoughts on post-labor economics? Above my pay grade. I understand how to swing a hammer and get paid for it. Economics and fucking all that shit, way above my pay grade, bro. Yeah, I mean, you're not alone. Your conservative opinion on this is not you in a vacuum. There's a lot of people who feel that way. I happen to think it is a wrong-headed way to think. I think it dehumanizes people based on fucking lines on a map, right? It assumes that those people have some sort of different need or deserve some sort of different access to the resources of this planet, and I just don't buy it. And with that, I bid you good night.